It's wild how a single heartbreak or betrayal can totally change the way we approach love or even friendship. Suddenly, every new opportunity feels like walking into a room with the lights off. You don't know what you might bump into. Have you ever felt that kind of cautiousness, like your guard just refuses to come down?
Oh, for sure. After my last big breakup, even sending a simple text felt risky, like I was handing someone a fragile piece of myself. It's almost like your heart builds this invisible armor, and you start questioning if it's even safe to hope for something good again.
That armor, you're so right. It's protective, but pretty heavy to carry around. I think a lot of us just assume that staying guarded is the only way to not get hurt again, but it can actually keep us from some really amazing connections.
Absolutely. And what's funny is, while we're busy protecting ourselves, we can actually miss out on the very healing we crave. It's like shutting the door to sunlight just because we're worried about the rain. Sometimes, it's hard to remember that vulnerability is where growth happens.
That actually reminds me of something I read recently, Isaiah 41:10. It's the one that goes, "Do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you." There's just something about those words that feels like a gentle hand on your shoulder, you know?
What struck me about that verse is the promise that we're never alone, especially when we're struggling. Even when it feels like no one else understands, God says, "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere." That speaks right to those moments when it feels impossible to trust again.
It does. It's almost like God is giving us permission to breathe again, to let go of some of that anxiety. Sometimes, just remembering you're not facing it alone makes stepping forward a little less terrifying.
Exactly. And it's not about pretending the pain never happened. It's more about letting that pain be something God can walk through with us, instead of something that defines our every move.
Funny you say that, because I've always wrestled with the idea that healing means I have to just bounce back. But the reality is, it takes time. Sometimes, it's tiny steps, maybe just letting someone in a little, or even trusting yourself to make good choices.
That's the truth. I used to feel guilty for being cautious, like I wasn't faithful enough. But honestly, protecting your heart during healing is okay. The real issue comes when fear starts calling all the shots, and you stop giving yourself a chance to trust yourself, others, even God's plan.
That's such a good distinction. I think there's a big difference between being wise and letting fear be the boss. Sometimes, just a simple prayer, or reflecting on God's promises, is what nudges you forward, even if it's just by an inch.
Yeah, and trusting that God's timing is better than our own plans can be so freeing, even though it's also super challenging. There's comfort in knowing that the process, slow as it may be, is part of the plan too.
After everything, I keep coming back to this idea that being vulnerable isn't weakness. It's actually a pretty bold act of faith, letting God lead, even when your heart still feels bruised. Have you ever had a moment where that risk paid off for you?
Honestly, yes. There was a time when I finally let my walls down with someone new. Was I scared? Absolutely. But taking that leap taught me more about God's faithfulness and my own resilience than staying closed off ever could. Sometimes you only discover how strong you are by choosing to hope again.
That's real courage, right there. I love the idea that God's strength is our shield, and His love is what carries us forward, especially when fear tries to convince us to stay stuck.
And it's not just about romantic relationships either. Learning to trust again in any area of life opens us up to all kinds of new beginnings. God's love doesn't just patch us up, it draws us toward hope we couldn't see before.
So wherever you are, if fear is weighing you down, maybe start with a deep breath and a simple prayer. Let God's love take the lead. And who knows, the next chapter might surprise you in the very best way.